So glad you're here with us for another edition of the Roadrunners Coaches Corner, live as usual from the Tivoli Tap House. Come join us every Monday from 5:30 to 6 p.m., have a beer, enjoy the atmosphere, and maybe even hang out with a couple of MSU Denver coaches and athletes. I'm Stephen Priest, and joining me, as per usual, is my co-host Celeste Zubia. Celeste, how's it going tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Tell the audience, what do we have in store for them today?
So for the first time on the show, we are going to have the men's basketball assistant coach, Adam Wall. He's going to be talking to us today, which is exciting. We haven't had him on the show, so that'll be fun. Head coach for the softball team, Annie Van Wetzinga, will be here as well, and she's going to kind of talk to us about the games. They just had their first couple games this weekend, and as well as one of her players, third baseman, Brooke Lovas, will be on the show. So I'm excited. Going to be a good show. Yeah,
really exciting to finally see not only baseball but softball, the seasons to get underway this past weekend. But before we bring in our special guests for the evening, let's recap the weekend of MSU Denver sports. The baseball team also started their season this past weekend, and after splitting with Nebraska Kearney on Saturday, the Roadrunners took on the Lopers on Sunday for another doubleheader. UNK and Dallas Schramm blasted a 3-run home run to give them a 6-1 lead. Freshman Jerome Bohannon pitched a fantastic 5 innings of relief to keep his boys in the game, but the timely hits never came in the 6-2 loss. But Coach Jared Otis, our field reporter, still haven't seen him yet, had his team ready to roll in the finale, putting up 12 runs to help split the series and start the season with a 2-2 record.
The softball team took on Nebraska Kearney to start the new season, and it was the performance of true freshman Darby McGee who held the Lopers to 3 runs in 7 innings of work while striking out 6 Lopers. The offense was led by Brooke Lovas, who drove in 4 runs in the 9-3 win. Coach Van Wetzinga's squad would go 2-2 over the weekend to kick off the 2017 season.
Let's head on over to our men's basketball team, who picked up 2 big wins on the road, including a 62-59 comeback win over Black Hills State. The Yellow Jackets led for about 30 minutes of the game until Brian Howard exploded for 8 straight points to bring his team all the way back from a double-digit deficit. The Roadrunners are now 10-7 in the RMAC and are sitting in the 5th spot in the Rocky Mountain Athletics standings.
Now for the women, and they split their weekend road trip to South Dakota, which included a 76-68 win over Black Hills State. They got 22 big points from Georgia Ordorf, while Jalen Smith lit up the stat sheet with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Roadrunners are also 10-7 in the RMAC play and are just 2 games out of hosting a playoff game in the RMAC tournament at the end of this month.
And finally, let's talk some indoor track and field. At New Mexico Classic, Sam Berg finished in 14th place in the mile with a time of 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Fellow miler Brandon Croggy finished 2 spots behind him in the 15th spot. Erica Ruiz placed 18th in the women's mile with a time of 5 minutes and 25 seconds. In the Colorado University Invitational, Brittany Cockman crossed the line in 18th place in the women's mile, while Christian Culpepper also competed in the mile and finished with a time of 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Remember, you can check out all of the performances from our indoor track and field team at roadrunnersathletics.com. All right, we now bring in assistant head coach for our men's basketball squad. First time, Adam Wall. Coach, thanks for taking out the time. Big weekend for you guys this past weekend. How are you doing tonight, though?
We're doing pretty well.
Awesome. Glad to have you on the show. As we mentioned, this is your first time. What do you, for the men's basketball program, and I'm sure it's a laundry list of things too long for this show to talk about, but give us some of the top duties that you had to kind of take over with Coach Clark being out.
I think the biggest thing is not just myself, with Coach Michael Ball, is taking care of our guys, making sure they're taking what they need to be doing in the classroom, going to class, taking care of their studies. So that's the biggest thing. And then also reiterating with them, just doing what you can control, or what they can control. And that's in the moment, right? Whether that's practice, whether that's preparation for a game, whatever that is, do what you can control in that moment, and everything else is going to figure itself out.
So, Coach, this is your 6th season with the Roadrunners. It seems like you've been everywhere all around the RMAC. Tell us how you got here to MSU Denver.
I played at Mesa State, which is Colorado Mesa now, transferred from a junior college in California. So that's kind of my history in the RMAC as a player. And then I was fortunate enough to have ties with Coach Clark when he got the job back in 2010, and was lucky enough and fortunate enough to hire me. And since then, I've been on staff.
Awesome.
Now let's get into some of the basketball talk from this past weekend. You guys took to the road to South Dakota to continue some RMAC play. You first took on Black Hills State last Friday night. This was a game that the Yellow Jackets led for the majority of it, but what were you able to do to gain the momentum and shift the outcome?
Well, the first thing, our guys did a tremendous job. They played extremely hard. Black Hills hit some threes 4 or 5 feet behind the line that it kind of got them going in the first half. But our guys kept their head down, stayed the course, played extremely hard, followed the game plan, and trusted us coaches, and they trusted each other. And we're lucky enough to be out on top.
So into the second half, and it's a double-digit lead for Black Hills State, and then your team rallied, and Brian Howard was big, scoring 8 straight points. What was the difference in the second half of that game?
Like I said, trusting the game plan, trusting each other. Kyle Lawson was another one that he came in, doesn't play a whole lot of minutes. He came in and hit a big-time 3. And our bench was also tremendous. That's one thing that has really stepped up the last couple weekends is our bench, because I think that's a big part of what we do is our energy and effort, and that comes from our bench, and that goes on to the guys on the floor.
Now, you'd eventually take a 7-point lead with 1:33 left. The Yellow Jackets didn't go away, though, cutting it within 2. But Andre Harris, who we know isn't the best free throw shooter, knocks down some crucial free throws. Talk about how awesome that was to see the big fella step up. I mean, he's been doing it all year long, has really grown.
Well, big thing for him is in practice, he's really been focusing on his free throws. Yeah. So it's nice to actually see that carryover from practice to the game and see his confidence stepping into the, Enrique got hurt. That's why he shot the free throws.
Okay.
And he came in and nailed those 2 free throws. And I think that's also going to improve his confidence moving forward.
So your team would go on to win the game 62-59, and we've seen you guys play in a few close games, and it doesn't really go your way. We've seen it with Westminster as well with Mesa. So how did this win help your guys' confidence moving forward?
I think experience, at Mesa, I don't know if you guys remember that game. We were up towards the end of the game, and it didn't go our way at the end. We took that as a learning experience. So, fast forward back in that situation again at Black Hills, I think those guys learned from that. And it helped them in those situations to really know time and score, know what to do. Obviously, we went over things in practice that prepared them. But I think, those situations prior in the year helped them versus Black Hills.
Now, moving on to the next night, you guys take on South Dakota School of Mines, tied at half, but then you guys explode for a 41-point second period. Give us some of your thoughts on that game.
Well, you didn't talk about the beginning of the game. We were down 13-0. We had a terrible start. Just our guys were flat, weren't ready to play. Called timeout. We kind of rallied the troops a little bit, and they bounced back, especially in the second half. Early in the game, it was an effort situation. Our effort wasn't where it needed to be. In the second half, the guys, bounced back and really, from a defensive standpoint, stepped it up and went after it. And obviously, it's nice when you make shots.
So talk to us a little bit about Alec Williams, who seemed to take on, big scoring roles. The freshman erupted for 23 points on Saturday and has double-digit scoring in 4 of his last 5 games. So do you think the light bulb has gone off for him lately?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Alec is continuing to play in transition. He's very good in transition, pushing the basketball. Also, learning how we want him to play, whether it's transition in the half court. They've been going under ball screens on him quite a bit. And, he's in practice, he's been working on his shooting a lot. So I think when they go into those ball screens, especially South Dakota Mines is 10 for 15, he was continuing to shoot those shots, and now he's making them because of the work and practice he's been putting in.
Coach, regular season is starting to wind down. 5 games left to go. You guys have a big weekend coming up, Chadron State and Regis. What must you guys do what's the message that you guys are preaching to the team as you go down the season?
The biggest thing for us is kind of goes back to what I said earlier, do what you can control in the moment. And in the moment is tomorrow's practice at 6:30 in the morning. So we're going to control what we can at 6:30 in the morning tomorrow and focus on us early in the week. And as the week progresses, we'll probably transfer into Chadron and then obviously after the Chadron game, Regis. But right now we're just focused on us and continue to get better every single day.
All right, Coach, one last question. As a coach, how do you coach and teach effort to your team?
I think it's one of those things where it starts in practice. Everything starts in practice. And it's also your preparation, your mindset going into the game, especially on the road, especially on a long road trip like Black Hills and the South Dakota Mines trip. That's a long trip. So hopefully coming back home, having a home game Friday and Saturday, and a good week of practice will prepare them for Friday's game.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for taking out the time tonight to join us, sit down with us. We appreciate all that you've done in stepping in for Coach Clark. You and the rest of the coaches really picking up the slack.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Best of luck this weekend and down the season.
Thank you.
All right, so that'll do it for Coach Wall. Coming up next, we'll talk with head softball coach, Coach Van Wetzinga. You don't want to miss what she has to say as her season's just getting started. That's next on the Roadrunners Coaches Corner.
Robinson stops on a dime, now to Cortez. The Cortez feeding, count the bucket, and foul.
If you can't get enough of MSU Denver sports, then you need to tune in to the Roadrunner Review. Get into the game with exclusive highlights, interviews, player stories, and of course the top plays that will have you jumping out of your seat. You can catch all the action on Comcast CET and at RoadrunnersAthletics.com.
Hey, nice shot! Great spot!
Brought to you by your #1 volume Nissan dealer, Tynan's Nissan. Come in today and choose from nearly 1,200 new Nissans. Get 0% for 72 months with no payments for 90 days. During the Bottom Line event, lease the new Altima for only $149 per month. Gives you both efficiency and performance. Looking for an SUV? Then choose the all-wheel drive Rogue at just $159 per month. Also available with optional third row seats. Bottom Line savings at Tynan's Nissan in Aurora and Fort Collins.
I'm Raquel Torres, senior guard for the women's basketball team.
Runners, and there's Torres, three-point shot up and
Oh, there it goes.
Raquel Torres, the trifecta.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
I'm Andre Harris, senior center for the Roadrunners men's basketball team.
Here's Andre Harris with the jam, bobbing and weaving through traffic.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Thanks for sticking with us here on the Roadrunners Coach's Corner. Quickly, before we talk with Coach Van Wetzinga, we want to tell you about the MSU Denver Mug Club featured by the Tivoli Tap House. The official launch for this event is on February 18th, and it's a great way to contribute to scholarships for the Roadrunners student athletes and to the Alumni Association. As a member, you'll receive a MSU Denver / Tivoli mug featuring the Roadrunners logo, and you'll get $1 off any Tivoli Brewing Company beer, $2 off any Tivoli Brewing Company beer during an MSU Denver sponsored event, and happy hour. So a fantastic event. You can sign up for this awesome club at TivoliBrewingCo.com. So now, as I mentioned, we'll talk with Coach Van Wetzinga, Annie Van Wetzinga of your softball team. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Of course.
How exciting is it for you to finally be done with, fall ball and get all that stuff out of the way, get the season going?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Our year is consumed with training and practicing.
Right.
That's all for what first semester is, and then obviously the whole month of January. And so, yeah, the players, the coaches, we're all just ready for games, more than ready for games once February hits.
Right.
So while it was sunny outside, the wind was brutal,
Yeah.
especially on Saturday, and it looked like it made for all kinds of adventures out there for your fielders.
Yeah, no, the wind definitely, I think it wasn't necessarily there before the game started, but during that first game it picked up, and it looked like we had a few Chinese fire drills with some pop flies, and so that was fun to get that out of the way. It definitely looked like a first game of the season a little bit. Luckily, that first game, though, we were able to overcome it. Freshman pitcher Darby McGee, after that first inning, really settled in and gave us a nice performance.
Well, let's talk about that first game against Nebraska Kearney. You did go with freshman Darby McGee in the circle after a few errors. As you mentioned, she settled down.
Yeah.
And then you guys were able to get some strikeouts on 6 batters, and she was able to go the distance, get the win. Talk about her performance and the team's performance.
Well, I think it was really big. I suspected she'd be nervous to start the game, and she was, because she led off the game with the 4-pitch walk with the leadoff batter, which isn't ideal. And honestly, then we had kind of the rough defense behind her, and so they put up the 3 spot right away. But honestly, after that, we talked about it, she just kind of got stronger and stronger as the game went on, settled in, got some big strikeouts, and then I think finally our hitters settled in as well, and offense clicked a little bit there, and we were able to make things happen.
So you talked about your offense, clicking and getting things. You guys the bats came alive in the 4th inning, and your team came up with 4 triples, 3 of those driving in runs. Have you ever seen so many triples in a game?
No, that was kind of crazy. And also kind of people that typically don't hit triples, like Carissa Terry, we call her Big T. She isn't usually sprinting around the bases much, but she was on that this weekend, getting around the bases, and honestly, I think that kind of is attributed to, we have a team that's really embraced base running and not settling just for station to station. It's something we try to practice, always look for the extra base. So our team has done a really good job of always looking ahead and know to look for me. We'll push the base running. So that's kind of one of our strengths. We're not necessarily always a scary lineup in terms of driving the ball over the fence, but we will try to take extra bases.
Now, you mentioned Terry. She was a big producer this weekend for you, but you saw a lot of production out of that 6, 7, and 8 spot this weekend. As a coach, talk about how fun that is to see.
Oh, that's key. You know, if you want to be a team that's going to do a lot of damage in the regular season and go far into the postseason, you need 1 through 9. You can't always rely on the top of your order to get it done. That would be always too much pressure on half your team. And again, that's key, because you always want to look at it on the flip side. You tell your pitchers, you tell your defense, don't let the bottom of that order hurt you, because that can kind of be like a backbreaker. So it's huge, and that's a huge spark for a team when that bottom part of the order can get things going.
So Brooke Lovas came in huge with 4 RBIs in that game, and she is joining you guys for the second time this season. So what does she bring to the table, and what are your expectations for her this season?
Well, yeah, she's in her second year with us. She was a junior college transfer, and so Brooke's kind of like a spark plug, you know, and I think she really kind of mirrors what our team is. Not going to be necessarily look at us from the outside scary offensively, but she can do a lot of different things. She's one of probably our best at handling the bat in terms of bunting and small ball, but then she can hit the gaps and base hits, doubles, and then when she's on the bases, again, she can make things happen, whether it's stealing or just pushing the envelope and taking bases. So she's definitely a spark plug, and she just plays hard, you know. And her offense is great, but I think the best part of her game, the most exciting part of her game to watch, is her defense. She makes some really, really great plays at third.
Now, in addition to Nebraska Kearney, you guys took on Colorado Mesa twice this weekend.
Yeah.
Team that's been highly touted coming into the season, ranked 19th in the nation. Talk about the experience you had facing them, and more than likely they're going to be a rival for you guys for that top spot in the RMAC this year.
Yeah, first day was rough. We didn't get the performance we wanted. I just thought all day, actually, the first day, we were just really tentative and letting the other teams kind of come out and control the tempo and the energy, and we weren't able to come back from that. And we weren't taking care of the ball defensively either. I don't think we were making plays that we should have. And against a good team, they're going to exploit that. You know, good teams with good hitters, if you don't get the outs that you should, then the big hit is what's going to come next. And that's what hurt us. The next day, takeaway, I think it was their 5th inning. You know, it's anybody's ball game. We were a little short on pitching. We were trying to push Darby through it a little bit, but she had a lot of pitches on her at that point, and we just couldn't get that key out to kind of contain that inning. So they got that big 6-run 5th, but our effort the next day was better. It's just more consistency across the board with things.
So week 1 is finally in the books, and you guys kind of have like the jitters out of you guys.
Yeah.
So before you go to Utah for some non-conference action, what improvements do you want to see from your team this weekend?
Definitely first coming out of the gates, each game ready to kind of control that energy and that tempo. Like we talked about, offensively we need more consistency. I thought we were too passive at times at the plate and kind of letting the pitcher dictate at bats. I want our hitters ready to attack the ball. You know, it's a good pitch coming in, swing like you mean it, you know, and hopefully that'll help kind of string more things together, drive in some more runs. I think at times we're leaving too many runners on base and not getting that key hit.
Now, last one for you, Coach. First road trip coming up of the season. Talk about, I mean, you have returning players from each season, but each team takes on a new identity from season to season. Talk about how big these road trips are in terms of interaction and team bonding and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I'm excited to get on the road. I assume they are too, because with the new facility, it's amazing to be at home, but you get on the road, sometimes it's easy to clear your head, you know. You're getting away from classes and this and that, and it's just kind of softball. So that's exciting. And yeah, you kind of take, our team is really close and they get along, but I think you go on the road, it's just kind of where different things and different bonds are built, and kind of where you learn about one another and about yourself and kind of the path that the team will go down. So I'm excited to be on the road the next couple weeks. I think it'll definitely help the team kind of form what this year will be about.
Well, Coach, it was fun talking softball with you. Thanks for taking out the time as usual, and best of luck as you guys head out to St. George.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Have a good one.
Now we'll continue that softball discussion, as up next we'll have senior third baseman Brooke Lovas up next on the Roadrunners Coach's Corner.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Diana DeGette. Every day, I see the impact that MSU Denver has on our region, and education within reach can truly transform a life. Congratulations on 50 years of commitment to diversity and inclusion, and may you have many, many more.
Are you a college student that needs a place to live? Are you still living with your parents and want your own space? The Regency Student Housing is perfect for you. The community offers many amenities such as a fitness center, 2 basketball courts, big screen amphitheater, all-you-can-eat dining hall, bowling alley, arcade, free parking, and a shuttle to and from the Auraria campus. For more information, please call 303-477-1950 or visit our website at regencystudenthousing.com.
I'm Lexi Marr, senior defender for the Roadrunners women's soccer team.
These teams looking for offense, and there's Marr, the all-conference defender.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
I'm Anthony Grant, Director of Athletics at MSU Denver.
It's because of your generosity and support that our athletic programs have been able to achieve sustained success and continue to be one of the top athletic departments in the nation.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
We're back here for the final segment of the Roadrunners Coaches Corner. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Metro State Sports, where we'll bring you updates from games, times, and schedules of events, and of course, any news regarding Roadrunners athletics. So be sure to give us a follow right now. I know you're on the tweet machine, so do it.
Everyone's on Twitter. You got it.
Right. Thanks for being with us here. But of course, we got to finish things off with the athlete. And tonight, it's senior third baseman Brooke Lovas of your women's softball team. Brooke, how's it going tonight?
It's going well. How are you?
Not too bad. We got to ask you, how excited are you finally to be able to get this season underway, 2017 season underway?
I was always super excited this fall. I want to say that I've never been so excited, just because it is probably the thought that it is my senior year.
Right.
But we also worked so hard, and we have so much talent. Everyone just meshes well. There's players we can put in every position when anything happens, so it makes it more exciting knowing that we can trust every single player out there, and it just leads to a good season.
So you were huge in game 1 with 3 hits and 4 RBIs, so it seemed like you were just ready once you stepped up on the plate.
Yes, it was, I don't know, I've always had struggle hitting. I always knew that, and it definitely helped a lot to see that I can produce the way at my full capability, and it was nice to actually be able to produce for the team.
Now, having worked the games this past weekend, especially Saturday, it was pretty windy. I don't know how it was for you guys on the field, but we were freezing up there trying to hold that camera still.
It was brutal.
Talk about how you guys deal with that. How difficult was it as a team? And then, you know, the pop-ups and the fly balls, it seems like every team was kind of struggling to bring those in.
The hardest part, honestly, was hearing the communication on the field. It was hard hearing Serena on certain things. I had to take a guess sometimes. To hopefully, I'm like, I think she said that. I'm going to do it anyways because I feel like that's the right thing to do. But that was probably the hardest part, is just hearing each other. The fly balls, yes, were pretty brutal. Going to the outfield, you can't really see as an infielder how bad the spin was. But once there was one behind third base between me and Ashley, I thought I had it. But then it ended up just blowing right past me, and she ended up having to do it. But yeah, it makes it more difficult. It's definitely kind of like a scary feeling, but I think we managed well. Yes, it hurt a little bit, but we figured it out.
So how much fun was it to watch, freshman Darby McGee pitch out there? Her first collegiate game, and she was able to battle and get the win against Kearney. So as a senior watching your freshman pitcher, how exciting was that?
When I heard Coach name her as the starting pitcher of the first game, I honestly went up to her as soon as we got done with our huddle, and I was like, this is super exciting. I am so excited for you. And you can tell she was nervous. Obviously, I was nervous my first collegiate game, but I can't imagine as a pitcher. But seeing her succeed that well, especially against Mesa, they're a good hitting team, and she did well. It was really, I don't know, right now it just gives me chills, and that kind of makes me kind of want to cry just because she's a freshman, and it's so exciting, and she's just going to keep getting better and better, and I can't imagine how she's going to do the next 3 years.
Now, you mentioned Mesa. You guys start off the season with a tough conference opponent, and they're coming to the season ranked 19th. Was there any nerves playing a good team like that? And then talk about what this experience means for you guys going forward, because you're going to see them again, and I'm sure there's going to be some tough competition for RMAC playoff spots.
Thinking about Mesas, you know they're a really good competitive team. They're like us. We take advantage of opportunities, and that's the thing. It makes it hard. If we don't produce, they're going to take that opportunity and do the same thing, and vice versa. I was definitely nervous playing them just because we beat them last season, and I knew they were going to come back hard, knowing that. And being a third baseman against that team, they always worked me for some reason at third base. So I knew I was like, I'm going to have a challenge with these girls. And but yeah, I think we could have performed better, but it was our first weekend out, and I know we're more than capable, and it just shows that we're going to be a way better team this season.
So you're from Southern California. You played 2 seasons at Garden City in Kansas. So how did you end up here in Mile High City?
Well, I did my whole emailing to a lot of schools, and I think the Western Nebraska junior college coach out there that we used to play in Garden City was actually good friends with Coach Van, and I think that they kind of conversed a little bit, and then my Coach Gundy was like, hey, Coach Van from MSU Denver wants to talk with you, and I pretty much signed immediately to MSU Denver.
That's awesome.
Now, you play a tough position at third. In your mind as a player, what are some of the key elements to be able to be successful at that position?
Well, I've never played third base before until last season. I played shortstop, and the one thing that I know is always hard to judge are slappers, because you never know what they're going to do. They can lay down a bunt, they can do a soft slap, they can hit the ball hard in certain placements. So that's probably the biggest struggle that I face, is because I'm like, what are they going to do?
Right.
So what I learned is that I need to play up almost equivalent to where our pitcher is, because I know I can react fast enough to the hard balls, but it's hard to be able to beat the runner as you're trying to come up and charge a slower ball.
Right.
And I feel like that's definitely made me more successful, is realizing don't be afraid of the ball. You can react. You are capable. Just get up there and just show that nothing's going to get through you. And I just know we do a lot of stuff at practice. Hard balls at us, slow rollers. Definitely practice made me more prepared this season.
So your profile roadrunnersathletics.com says you're majoring in biology and chemistry, so you might just be the smartest person at the stable, because I know I could not do that. So what do you hope to do with that after graduation?
I plan on going to grad school. I'm not exactly sure where. I would like to stay in Denver. I'm still deciding whether or not if I want to do PA school, which is physician's assistant, or go to med school and further my degree and hopefully study infectious diseases or do plastic reconstructive surgery. So I know there's 2 different spectrums, but that's something I plan on doing.
Oh, awesome.
And Brooke, we just want to say thanks so much for taking out the time tonight to join us. Best of luck to you and the squad going forward this season.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it.
And we want to give a huge shout out, happy birthday, to Serena Espinoza. Hopefully she's watching. If not, that's okay. We won't take offense. You could catch it on YouTube. That's right. Hopefully you can tell her we gave her a shout out.
Yeah, I'll definitely will.
All right, before we send you guys out of here on this Super Monday, day after the Super Bowl, let's take a closer look as to what is up for the schedule on Roadrunner Sports. We are happy to announce that our basketball team will be back at home this weekend after long road trips. First, they'll welcome in Chadron State to the Auraria Event Center this Friday at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Then it's crosstown rival Regis University who makes the 5-mile trek to downtown Denver, and those games are also scheduled to tip off at 5 and 7 p.m. The Metro State Broadcast Network will be there for all 4 games in case you can't make it to the game.
After starting the season at the Regency Athletic Complex this past weekend, the baseball and softball teams head on the road this upcoming weekend. Head baseball coach Jared Otis will head to Emporia, Kansas for a 3-game set against the Hornets of Emporia State, while coach Annie Van Wetzinga will take her squad to St. George, Utah to take on 5 opponents in just 3 days.
And let's not forget about the indoor track and field team who head south to Alamosa to compete in the Adams State University Open. The Grizzlies are a powerhouse in Division II in indoor track and field, so our Roadrunners will be put to the test this weekend, but we know they'll come out successful as per usual. But that's going to do it for us this week on the Roadrunners Coaches Corner. As always, we want to thank you for taking out the time to watch us. Hopefully it's the best 30 minutes of your afternoon, night, drive, time, anything like that. For Eric Lansing, the man behind the camera, Celeste Zubia, I'm Stephen Priest, and the coaches we've had on, Coach Wall, Coach Van Wetzinga, and, of course, Brooke Lovas. We wish you a great night and see you next week.